Hello, welcome to a very late episode, 87 of Creepy Soup. I am Jill.
Hello, I'm Jenny.
Welcome. How have you been?
Peachy.
I feel like it's been a while since we've done this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we are late. Um, and I just kind of want to throw this out there. This is just a me and Jenny run operation. We don't have anyone helping us with any of the stuff. And of course, life also happens. Um, and sometimes you know, things come up. Uh Sometimes there's not ideal recording conditions. Um, any number of things. So when the episodes are late, we're very, very sorry. We don't mean for them to be late. Um, but just sometimes life happens and
Yeah.
we're very
It's not
sorry.
intentional. Um, in most cases, we're okay. It's just we gotta deal with whatever it is
Yeah.
before
And
we can record.
we both have full-time jobs. Um, Jenny lives a little closer to work than I do. I'm actually on the road, like, well, and I also leave stupid early for work. Um, but that's because if I don't get a decent parking spot. And there's some days I still don't get a decent parking spot. So I actually start work at 3, but I leave my house between 1 and 1:15 after 1. So, um, but I also have a 45, 50-minute drive, providing there's no traffic issues in the way. Um, so that's really an extra 3 hours of my day spent on the road, which, that could be 3 hours I could spend doing stuff. I mean, obviously around the house, but for the podcast too. Um, so yeah, sometimes working, a distance from where you live kind of sucks. But I will say sometimes that drive,
I enjoy my drives when I have to take them.
yeah, I sometimes that drive is it's a blessing and a curse. Because sometimes, you think about like an argument or something you want to say to somebody, and then it just eats at you, and then you have the whole conversation in your head, and then how it ends up, and it's so sometimes it's not great, but then sometimes I just get to blast my music all the way to work, and
That's me everywhere. And I made a TikTok of me actually in my car. And the sound is if you can hear my music, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to not have thoughts.
yeah, some days are catch up on podcast on the way to work days. And then some days are like, fuck it, I just need music. And I will
Yeah, today I get lots of drive time.
and I will say I don't listen to the radio anymore, so I couldn't tell you any new songs that have come out.
Same.
Um,
I have my downloaded songs on YouTube. Um, and that's what I listen to. It just shuffles through my downloaded songs.
yep, I either have Spotify, whether it's music or a podcast, or Audible. It just depends on my mood. Today is probably going to be a music day. So, um, since we're paranormal-ish podcast, I got to talk about what happened the other night. Um, so due to I don't know exactly what actions, my oldest grandson had his electronics taken away, and that included his tablet and his smartwatch. So I don't know how other smartwatches are. I know mine only lights up with movement. Okay. So I
Movement or
don't,
touch?
yep, movement or touch. Um, it doesn't just light up while it's sitting there. Like even if
Yeah.
I get a text message that comes through, it doesn't light up. Now again, I don't know because he has a different brand. And I'm gonna throw this out there. He's got the Amazon brand. It's a Amafit or something like that. It's amazing. In fact, when I am in need of a new smartwatch, that is what I'm getting.
Nice. I still have my Galaxy one, but I did get a new band for it.
Oh, I like that. Um, I honestly only wear mine as I'm walking out the door while I'm at work, and as soon as I get home, it comes off. I just, eh. um,
I wear mine all the time, but I will randomly start exercising. And so yeah, it helps me keep track of all of that. And then I try to wear it for at night when I'm sleeping because it will also track my sleep.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so anyway, the other night, I don't know what it was. Because when I went to bed, I was very, very tired. Um, but I woke up. Now we have blackout curtains on the two windows in my room, and when I tell you it is dark in my room, it's dark.
It's a black
I
hole.
only can get anywhere in the room because I know the room. So I wake up and my closet is lit up blue, like very bright. And I'm like, and it took me a little bit because again, I'm just waking up to figure out what it was. Well, and it happened. Okay, so first thing I do, I'm like, I gotta get this. So as soon as I grab my phone to start recording, it shuts off.
Go figure.
Like just shuts off. And I'm laying there, I'm like, was that a fever dream? Like what just happened? And then I'm laying there, and then all of a sudden it lights up again. And I'm like, I just said, can you not do that when I'm in here sleeping? And it shut right off. And I'm like, okay. And it was only like 10 seconds from the time it lit up till I said that. So I'm just laying there and I'm like thinking, what was that? And then I'm like, okay, it's got to be the watch because the tablet was closed and it wasn't flashing. It was just a solid light. Okay. So I kind of roll over. And again, in a dark room, if any light comes on, you're going to notice no matter where it's coming from. All of a
Hmm.
sudden, it gets bright in my room. And I didn't say anything this time. And this time it stayed on significantly longer. And I also know from mine, again, I don't know how this brand works. And I did ask questions when I got up um yesterday morning about this. Um, like mine, if it goes on, it shuts off like within seconds. Like if my wrist moves or I touch it, it doesn't stay on long. And maybe his has a setting, I don't know, but then it stayed on. Like I said, it was a good 4 or 5 minutes it stayed on, and then it went off. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to sleep now. And then all of a sudden, it's bright in my room again. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I'm trying to sleep, and then it stopped, and it didn't happen again. So again, I don't know how his brand is, if it does light up for notifications or if it has to be moved. I don't know. I just, and it may not have been paranormal at all, but when I asked the questions, they were like, it's usually only if it moves. So, yeah,
Yeah, and not only that, but it wouldn't have stayed lit up for that amount of time if something wasn't actively, messing with it.
that was my thought because all the times it was on, it wasn't like I said, the one time it was just a couple seconds when I said, "Hey, I'm trying to sleep." Um, and then because I had said something twice, could you not do that when I'm trying to sleep? And it went off, and that was just seconds. And the first time it was on, like I said, I woke up and it was on, and it took me a minute to realize what was happening.
Hmm.
And then I grabbed my phone, and it was like as soon as my phone lit up, it was, and then I had to listen for a minute because this was taken away from a preteen. So my thought was, did he sneak in my room to get in my shit? And then I'm listening, and there was no noise, nobody was in there. He didn't do that. And actually, my bedroom door was locked, so definitely nobody got in there. So yeah, it was weird. It was a little crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So again, I don't know if it was paranormal. I did feel like there was somebody in there with me. And I think
I feel
that's
like it's, yeah.
like I was telling you, I think I woke up because I felt a presence. And I truly think it was the little girl in the house. Um, yeah, so that was fun and interesting.
It sounds like
Yeah, fun. Did you do anything exciting this weekend?
I'm sorry, who are you talking to? You know, I didn't have anything fun.
I only had one day off. And it really wasn't one day off because from the time I got up until the time I went to bed, I was busy. Um, it might not have been so bad, but okay, the weekend before last, I colored my hair and I had leftover bleach and some of the color. So the oldest grandson has like a thicker patch, a longer patch of hair here. So I bleached that and colored it blue with his mother's permission. Well, then Jackson was like, I want my hair colored. So we went Sunday and we picked out the hair color. And then so Jack got his done. Ben wanted a retouch because his like he got this color, the same color I've got here. Mine is still the way it's supposed to be, and his was very faded. So I got it, rebleached his, cut his hair, did Jackson. It was like a good 3, 4 hours of coloring hair. And then of course the little one comes in. She's like, I want my hair purple. So guess what I'm doing this coming weekend?
Fun.
Yeah.
I
Um,
colored mine yesterday. I my mom's been in the hospital for the last week and a half. Um, and when I went over there last week to pick up a couple of things for her, her room was it needed a cleaning. And so yesterday I went over and cleaned, and when I was done, I colored my hair. And so I cheated because like I knew I didn't have time to like come home, take a shower and all of that. So it was easier to do everything over there to eliminate the drive time
yeah.
for that process. Because then by the time I got home, my hair was mostly dry and then I could just get ready for work. So yeah, that's what I did yesterday.
Yeah, that
And
works.
today is my mom's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Carrie.
Happy birthday, Mom. She doesn't know it, but I'm going to pick her up something on the way when I go to pick her up from the
Aw,
hospital to bring her home.
aw.
So, yep.
That's cool. I'm glad she's getting out. Is she feeling better? And I know we were kind of talking. I don't want to get into too much detail, but I know you said like they were concerned that
Honestly, I'm upset at the way the whole experience has gone.
I mean
Um,
that's
Prior to her being put in, she had an ER visit. She does not remember this visit. I talked to her the next day, and then she saw my brother and his wife and her great grandchild. She remembers that, but she does not remember the night before the hospital. They released her.
Yeah, I yeah,
She just had a procedure yesterday, a biopsy, um, for one of her issues, and she is still not better from that.
yeah,
And they're trying to release her. Like, what the actual fuck?
yeah. That,
And to my knowledge, they haven't really given any answers as to what landed her in the hospital. Like, they have suspicions,
but no answers.
but no actual answer.
Yeah, um yeah, I have similar stories from my mom and stuff like that. And yeah. Um, yeah. Well, I hope she starts doing better from that. And she's probably glad to break out.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
she's always glad when she gets to break out.
yeah. I mean, everybody is. Nobody, most people need to be in a hospital, but nobody likes to be in a hospital,
Hmm.
which I totally understand.
Yep.
Um, I know I had went in not to a hospital, but to a Med Express because I thought I had strep throat. And maybe I talked about this. I don't fucking know. I don't remember from day to day, but I thought I had strep throat, which was causing my ears to hurt. But it was actually the other way around. I had severe inner ear infections, which was causing my throat to hurt. Um, but that's done now. I cleared up my antibiotics or finished it, so and I feel fine, so we're good there. Um, do you have any recommendations?
I do have a recommendation. And in fact, mine is a very obvious recommendation. It's on my face. And some people may have noticed it already, but it's my highlighter. And I am so in love with it. I wear it every day. It's Lizette's Beauty World. And this one is Bluebell. And it's so gorgeous. And I also have Cherry Blossom, which has like a pink hue to it. It, they're perfect. There's a green as well, and then I want to say a rainbow. So all I did was just that's it. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Oh, it's not showing up very good. Bummer. See if it'll do it in the
It's
not so
pretty.
much. But it's got like a pinkish purplish hue to it.
See, that
Um,
reminds me a lot of the one I got, not this past Halloween, but the one before. Profusion had like the whole like that rituals line, and that
yeah.
looks exactly like the highlighter they had.
Oh, okay. This is $5.
That's not bad.
I could be wrong. It could be 10. Um, I know lashes are $5. What is poking me in the arm?
Look, I have lashes, but I am one of them people, like, okay, I have false lashes in my
Hmm.
bathroom. I do not know how to apply them.
It was a learning curve.
I've even got like the little pieces, the little extensions.
Oh, I
Don't know how
haven't
to put
tried
those
those.
on either.
I did watch a girl do those the other day. And that was interesting to watch. Sorry, something was literally like biting the back of my arm.
Mm,
And so like I trapped it in the shirt and I pulled my arm out, but I can't find what it was.
that's not comforting at all.
Especially considering at one point last week this chair was taken over by a spider for the day.
Awesome. Well, while you're looking, I'm going to go into my recommendation.
Okay.
Um, this business, it's a small business. I actually found it because we had got jackets through work last year and they're nice jackets. And they've got like our union and company logo on it, but it's a little plain. So there is a guy at work, his wife started this small business and she does like the embroidery and she put Jilly Bean on it. And so of course, like she did a great job, it was like a decent price, definitely worth it. I didn't grab that. Um, but I did grab what I just received yesterday. And it was one of those things, do I need it? No. Um, am I a shirt whore? Absolutely. So, and her work is awesome. Like, and you're gonna see it in a second. Um, the business name is Putting on the Stitch,
Okay.
and I just love their stuff.
Oh, she did that?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
And I don't know if it comes across, but the Detroit is in pink, like a light pink.
Oh, okay. It
And
looks like a white to me, but I could see how it could be a light pink. Yeah.
yeah, it's like from a distance you can't really see it. And if you're colorblind, you're definitely not gonna be able to see it. But that is my recommendation for the week. I am going to I do want to talk to her about letting me use her link. Um, but super nice. Um, she ships, so you don't have to be local. Now with the jacket, um, we gave her husband the jacket with the money stuffed in the pocket and exactly what we wanted on because Rachel did it too. Um, and we got it back and they were amazing and I thought, I know I'm going to get more. Now, if there's any Taylor Swift fans out there right now listening, she's doing some for um Taylor Swift where it looks like a bookshelf with books,
Mhm.
and every book is a title of one of her albums.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So she does that. She's done a few business logos. And right now because she did these, she had requests for, of course, Detroit Tigers and Red Wings. So she's got those, and the Red Wings has an octopus in the back, like the background, like this one has the lion.
Mhm.
And then she's got one that says Detroit with a tiger. So
Hmm.
if you're,
Okay, that's awesome.
so yeah, she's amazing. So,
I forgot to mention, with mine, there is two different discount codes you can use. You can either use Jenny or code SIS.
okay.
So,
Um, yeah, like I said, make sure you send me that link, and when I do the show notes, it'll be in the show notes. Um, and I don't know if I'm gonna get this done before I go to work, so this might be uploaded after I get out of work tonight. Um, so yeah, we'll see. So with that, do you want to get started? Because
let's.
we are doing a two for this week. It's usually Jenny does a story or I do one. Well, this one we're sharing it.
Hmm.
And I don't officially have notes.
I
Um,
don't either, but I have pictures.
um, and this is probably an overdone one, but we wanted something that we could both do the true crime and paranormal aspect of it. So we chose Lizzie Borden.
My mom
So,
was actually excited to hear we were doing Lizzie Borden.
um,
On a side note, I had brought up the Conjuring House, and she's like, "What's that?" And I was like, the movie The Conjuring. She's like, yeah. I was like, it's based off of, true story. The house is real, da da da. And she's like, oh, really? She's like, you guys should do that one.
who was that?
My mom.
Oh, um, Yeah. But yeah, we were thinking we wanted to do something where we're both kind of included in the episode. Um, so we figured, yeah, we'll do the true crime because that happened first, I think.
Yep.
And then Jenny will do the paranormal side. So, because yeah, now we're at limited time because we were talking so long. Did you find your
No,
little buddy? Okay.
no.
Um,
I'm hoping
okay.
he's under the bed.
So her name is now I thought Lizzie was short for something. It's not. Her name was Elizabeth or Lizzie Andrew Borden,
Yep.
which that's kind of cool to have your dad's first name as your middle name. I wouldn't want it because that's a horrible name, but I could not picture my middle name being Harold. I just couldn't.
Jenny John.
That's too close to Jimmy John's. And
I
that just
know.
makes me hungry.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, so she was born July 19th of 1860. I was gonna say 19 and I knew that was wrong. Um, she was born in Fall River, Massachusetts. She lived and died there. She lived there her whole life, kind of like me with Saginaw. Um, because I don't see me ever leaving. Um, Lizzie, her parents were Sarah Anthony, which again, that's pretty cool to have that. Um, her mother's name at birth was Sarah Anthony Morse, and her father was Andrew Jackson Borden. Um, family was of English Welsh descent. They grew up modest. Um, her father eventually prospered in the manufacture and sale of furniture and caskets, and eventually became a property developer. He was a director of several textile mills. He owned a lot of commercial property. He was president of the Union Savings Bank and a director of the Durfee Safe Deposit and Trust. At the time of his death, his estate was worth 300,000. Into as of 2023, that would be 10,146,890. So that's some wealth right there.
Yeah.
Um, despite his wealth, apparently he was frugal. Um, which my husband likes to say he's frugal. I say he's cheap. Same thing, different spelling.
Yeah, I think in today's world he would be considered cheap.
Yeah. Um, their home did not have indoor plumbing. Um, which at the time, if you were wealthy, that was a
That
pretty
was the thing.
typical um yeah. So Lizzie had an older sister, Emma Lenora Borden. And they had a relatively religious upbringing. They attended the Central Congregational Church. Um, as a young woman, Lizzie was very involved in church activities. She taught Sunday school. She was involved in religious organizations such as Christian Endeavor Society. And for that, she served as like a secretary treasurer.
Hmm.
She was also a member of the Ladies Fruit and Flower Mission. Um, okay, so then we get to 3 years after Sarah's death, which was Lizzie, and what was his sister's name? Jesus, Emma.
Emma.
I, I should remember that. My grandmother was Emma. I had a grandma Emma and a grandma Lula.
Hmm.
Night and day women. One was a crotchety old woman, and the other one was like, honey, can I feed you?
Yep.
Um, so 3 years after her mother's death, Andrew marries Abby Durfee Gray. Um, she they had a cordial relationship, but not a close relationship. She actually referred to her stepmother as Mrs. Borden. So that
Yep.
was lovely. Um, she honestly thought that Abby was a gold digger before gold digger was a term. Or maybe it was, I don't know. But she believed that Abby married Andrew for his money. And what's that saying? First time you marry for love, then you marry for money. I don't know if she was married prior, but um they had a 25-year-old live-in maid um that and her name was Bridget Sullivan. She had testified during the uh, obviously spoiler alert, Lizzie went on trial. Um that the girls barely ate meals with Andrew and Abby. Um So Andrew killed multiple pigeons in his barn with a hatchet, believing they were attracting local children to hunt them. I don't know. Um,
One version I heard of that was that he believed that they were carriers of disease.
which let's face it, they are. So he's
Yeah.
not totally wrong about that. But this kind of upset Lizzie because she had built like a roost for the pigeons. Um, so yeah. So now we're gonna get to the meat and potatoes, I guess. Um, so the morning of, hold on 1 minute. Um, okay, so Abby and Andrew get murdered. Um, sorry, again, no notes. I'm just trying to look this. And this is Wikipedia because this is where I could find all the information without really searching, but here we are. Um, for several days before the murders, the entire family, the entire household had been violently ill. A family friend later speculated that mutton that was left on the stove to use in meals over several days was the cause. So my guess, probably not properly stored. Um,
It was a
and
common thing back then as well.
yeah, and Abby had feared someone poisoned Andrew because he wasn't a very popular man in town. Um, so now in here, they keep calling her Morse. I don't know. It's weird. Oh, nope. Morse is a person. I don't. Okay. So they get up, they have breakfast. Andrew goes for his walk around 9 a.m. Abby went upstairs between 9 and 10:30 to make the bed. Um, According to forensic investigation, Abby was facing her killer at the time of the attack. She was first struck on the side of the head with a hatchet, which cut her just above the ear, causing her to turn and fall face down. Her killer then struck her multiple times, delivering 17 more direct hits to the back of her head. Ouch.
Yep.
Um, Andrew returned from his walk around 10:30 and his key failed to open the door, so he knocked. Um, Bridget, which is the maid, went to unlock the door and finding it jammed, she uttered a curse. She would later testify that she heard Lizzie laughing immediately after this, but she did not see Lizzie, but stated that the laughter was coming from the top of the stairs. It was considered significant as at that point Abby would have already been dead. Um, and her body would have been visible to anyone on the second floor. Lizzie later denied being upstairs and testified that her father had asked her where Abby was, to which she replied that a messenger had delivered Abby a summons to visit a sick friend, which I don't know. Bridget then stated that she removed Andrew's shoes and helped him to lay down on the sofa for a nap, a detail contradicted by the crime scene photos, which show Andrew wearing his boots, which is interesting.
Wait,
Um,
hold on. I got that one.
yep. And you can clearly see the boots.
Yep.
Clearly. So somebody lying. Um, she at that point she then testifies that she was in her third floor room, uh, taking a rest after cleaning windows. And then just before 11:10 a.m., she heard Lizzie call from downstairs, Maggie, come quick, father's dead. Somebody came in and killed him. Um, Obviously, as you see, he was slumped on the sitting room couch, struck 10 or 11 times with a hatchet-like weapon. One of his eyes had been split cleanly into, oh, that just gives me an instant headache. His still bleeding wounds suggested it was a very recent attack. Um, the family physician was across the street and arrived to the house and pronounced both Andrew and Abby dead. Um, so the investigation, Lizzie initially says she hears a groan or a scraping noise or a distress call before entering the house. 2 hours later, she told police she had heard nothing and entered the house not realizing anything was wrong. Um, when asked where her stepmother was, she recounted Abby receiving a note asking her to visit the sick friend. So she's pretty set with that story. Um, she also stated she thought Abby had returned and asked if someone could go upstairs and look for her. So Bridget and a neighbor were halfway up the stairs when they saw Abby lying face down on the floor. Most officers who interviewed Lizzie reported that they disliked her attitude. Some saying she was too calm and too poised, which I've heard stated many, many times. Everyone's going to act different in a situation. Now, I'm not saying she's guilty or innocent. I don't know. Um, I've seen a few things that point to other people, but I don't know. I'm not here for that. But in the basement, police found 2 hatchets, 2 axes. I don't want to say this too fast, then fuck up words, and a hatchet head with a broken handle. The hatchet head was suspected of being the murder weapon. Um, because the break in the handle was apparently fresh and it didn't have dust on it like the other bladed tools did. Um, but none of these were removed from the house. But of course, this is like 1860. This is not like today's world where everything is going to be removed. Um, I don't know if you just heard my husband belch, but he just belched. If you heard it, I'm sorry. Um, so because there was the mysterious illness that struck the family, um, they autopsied or things were removed from the stomach during the autopsy. Um, and uh they found no poison, but residents suspected Lizzie of buying hydrocyanic acid in diluted form. I don't know if I said that right, don't care. Um from the local druggist. I mean, I guess back then the things you could get from a pharmacy, cocaine. Oh, what?
That's just it. From my understanding, she wasn't able to get it. She wanted to, but wasn't able to.
Yeah, well, it says suspected. It doesn't say that she did.
Yeah.
Um, so her defense was that she wanted it to clean furs, but the medical examiner testified it didn't have antiseptic properties. I don't know. Um, so a friend of the Borden sisters, Lizzie and Emma, decided to stay with the sisters the night following the murders. While Morse, I don't know who Morse is. I forgot. Anyway,
I think that's their uncle.
it might be because that's the stepmother's or the mother's maiden name. It's someone's,
Yeah.
yeah, it was the mother's maiden name. Sorry. Um, he stayed in the attic guest room. Um, Contrary to later accounts that he slept in the murder site guest room. Police were stationed around the house, um, during which time an officer said he seen Lizzie enter the cellar with Russell carrying a kerosene lamp and a slop pail. Oh, Russell was the friend, Alice. Um, but it doesn't say what they did down there. So
This
on
is a whole
August,
version I didn't hear.
yeah, well, and I'm really condensing for time purposes. Um, so anyway, the it goes to trial. Lizzie gets arrested. Um, and the prosecuting attorneys were Jose Knowlton and future U.S. Supreme Court William H. Moody. Um, a former Massachusetts governor, George D. Robinson, and Melvin O. Adams were the defending attorneys. Um, 5 days before the trial, another axe murder occurred in Fall River.
Oh.
The victim was Bertha Manchester, who was found hacked to death in her kitchen. The similarities to the Manchester and Borden murders were striking and noted by jurors, which my guess is that's probably what got her off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so prosecutors argue the killer removed the handle of the axe because it had been covered in blood. An officer testified the hatchet handle was found near the hatchet head, but another officer contradicted this through no bloody clothing, though no bloody clothing was found at the scene. Alice testified that she witnessed Lizzie burn a dress in the kitchen stove, saying it had been ruined when she brushed against paint. Now, look, I don't know if she was a crafty woman, but she could have taken that dress and turned it into something else.
Um, from what I understand, she just really liked to spend her dad's money.
I mean, that's
Um, and
possible.
she would cause problems for him in town, like she would steal stuff from shops. And apparently her dad had like an agreement with some of the shop owners and be like, look, if she takes anything, just run a tab, let me know later and I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. And
one account that I had come across said that she had warrants for theft and things like that. So,
yeah, she was no angel for sure. For sure. But that also doesn't make her a killer.
right.
And I truly feel with the other one taking place, it it would plant the seed of doubts, especially if the scenes were so similar. And like I said, this is just a quick overview. It's not like a full on deep dive because we know me and deep dives. It's not going to be a one-parter. Um,
Yeah, I thought that helped to like kind of, be like, she wouldn't necessarily have kept it, because she liked to do things to irritate her dad.
Yeah. Um, so just little things from the trial. Um, Lizzie had told several people that she was out in the barn. Some people say she was in the house. So there was some confusion with there. Um, so one thing that I find a little, both victims' heads had been removed during autopsy, and the skulls were admitted into evidence to the trial. And upon seeing them, Lizzie fainted. I mean, I totally get that. Like, whether you killed him or not, that's,
Yeah.
yeah. So, anyway, long story short, um, she was acquitted. Um, and I don't know, maybe in another episode we'll go into some theories, because there are many theories on if it wasn't her, who could it be. So maybe that'll be a little follow-up, or maybe, I don't know, maybe we can do a bonus or something to make up for the fact that we're so late. um yeah, so we can definitely do that. Her later life, she moved um to a different neighborhood in Fall River, and named her home Maplecroft. And, she was accused of shoplifting in Rhode Island. Uh, so yeah. She ended her and Emma had lived together. They got into an argument. Emma moved out. They never saw her again. And she died at um the age of 66 in 1927. Horrible last year of death. She had her gallbladder removed, died of pneumonia. Uh, few people attended her funeral because details were not published. 9 days after Lizzie died, Emma died from chronic nephritis in a nursing home in New Hampshire. So yeah. So at the time of her death, Lizzie was worth over 250,000, which is equivalent to, in 2022, $5,652. So tell us about the spooky shit.
The spooky side. So there has been multiple, highly televised excursions, we'll say, into the house. There are two main that are in the house, which is the mother and father.
Mhm.
Um, there is also reportedly two little girls, and those come from another case. Apparently, it was a cousin or an aunt, something along that lines, who had lived next door, drowned the children and killed herself in the basement of the Borden home. And it is said that the mother haunts the basement. The girls haunt a room in the upstairs on the second floor. Um, and then the mother and father can be heard throughout. Um, there is frequently footsteps like all throughout the house. In the room in the second floor, there is a toy box set up with various toys for the children to play with. And there's so balls will move, the dolls will be found in different rooms. Every night when uh the people leave, they reset everything to where, it's meant to be, and they'll come back the next day and find it, completely moved.
Yeah.
And it happens throughout the day as well. And doors will close and open on them their own and things like that. Um, there is, I want to say, 8 rooms available to be able to rent out to do. either just stay there or you can rent the room and do a tour. Um, the actual investigation nights are very separate. For the most part, they don't allow people to sleep in the basement unless it's on one of those nights. Um, that being said, within the home, there is blood stains still. And it's from where the father was. It actually seeped into the floorboards, and that is a room that you can rent. It is this room here. It is apparently a rather active room. However, the most active area in the entire house is apparently the washroom, which is also in the basement. It is said that that is where she had tried to wash the dress and wash the blood off of herself in that well. And, you know, upon not being able to get the blood out, she had burned it. Um, However, this is that area. Sorry. And within the space behind the wash sink, sorry, I'm cheating and looking through the crack. So on the wall back here,
Mhm.
it is reported that, and not just reported, but like it's actually shown on video when people do it, that if you take a picture with the flash, you will see Andrew Borden's face on that back wall.
Interesting.
Yep. So, um, most people who go into the home have a rather pleasant experience. They might have the children tug on them or, play with them a little bit. If you're using EVP, Spirit Box, things like that, you will frequently get the mom and the father. However, there are some that report that there is something much darker that resides in the basement. Um, However, those reports are primarily from the more highly televised, shall we say, and the ones who go in and provoke.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, if you go in, show respect and kindness, you're gonna have a good experience. But that being said, you'll experience the gambit,
Yeah.
or you won't experience anything. Some people go in and have absolutely no experiences.
See, and those are the people are pissed because they probably spent some good money to do it. And to get there and not have anything, that would piss me off.
Yep.
Yeah, that would piss me off.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Another fun fact. If you ask who killed them, they will tell you it was Lizzie. That was 100% through every investigation I watched. Like there was no wavering,
Hmm.
not once in either instance, whether or not it was him or her, both 100% every time, Lizzie.
Now, here's my thing. I mean, I know she saw who killed her. Obviously, from the forensic evidence, she was facing her killer. So, coming from her, okay, yeah. But if he was sleeping, he may not
See,
know.
and one of the things that I came across was that during the investigation, they determined that she couldn't have because of the way that the blows happened. Like it was wrong. Like she was too short.
Yeah.
It had to have been somebody taller. And um, they suspected somebody who would have been much stronger. However, if it was an actual axe, they're typically pretty heavy, metal heads on those. So once you get
Especially the
it
old
up,
ones.
the weight of it, is going to carry itself.
Yeah,
You don't have to have much force behind it to get, a good swing. Um, but yeah, that's one of the things that was brought up in quite a few of them, was like, okay, but if she did, how, is it not matching?
yeah,
Um, and that's where, the various suspicions start to arise and things like that. But yeah, I wanted to note that if you go in and you ask who did it, 100% her, but the evidence says otherwise.
yeah,
So very contradictory, very interesting, lots of theories. Um, Definitely paranormal. Every tourist guide will tell you haunted AF, lots of experiences. Is it terrifying, evil? No, I don't think so.
mm-mm.
I think that aspect is an investigator aspect, if you
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, because I can definitely see some of the different investigators. Everything's a demon, everything is evil, kind of thing. Um, I know there was one of the shows, where Dead Files, where Amy went in and talked about the sisters possibly having an incestuous relationship. Yeah, don't know if it's true. This is just what Amy Allen said.
Okay, I hadn't heard that one.
That, to be fair, that's the only time I've ever heard that. Um, Not saying it's true, but I mean, neither one of them ever married. They lived together for a long time. Um, I mean, maybe not their whole life, maybe as little kids. I don't know. Little kids get curious. I don't know.
Hmm.
But um, that's the only time I've ever heard that. I don't think I've ever heard that accusation anywhere else.
Yeah.
So,
Um, I know in one of the ones that I had watched, like a family friend or neighbor or something had brought up to the father, well, isn't it time that they get married off, because of their age? And
yeah,
he's like, well, why? Why do they have to get married off?
yeah,
Um, so that's interesting. But another thing was like he had tried to get the sisters to take control of their lives and like have a direction at
yeah.
one point.
Which
And
every
like,
parent wants that for their kids. So,
right. So he bought them, a property and said, okay, manage it. Um, and they realized that, it was a lot more work than they wanted to.
yeah,
So he actually had to buy them out. So he bought it, gave it to them, and then had to buy it back from them.
okay. I mean,
Like I
whatever.
said, she really liked to mess with him and find different ways to spend his money.
Yeah,
I think that had a lot to do with why they, hadn't been married or anything.
could be. Because, once you get married, you are, I mean, upon death, but you're less likely, unless your parents are going to bankroll your lifestyle even after being married. But, like, if that's the cutoff, then yeah, why would they want to get married?
Yep. And it's also said that after the passing, that the oldest sister inherited the money, from the death, and that she had split it with her sister. So they each got half.
which was
And
nice.
Lizzie Borden, when she passed away, a lot of her remaining money was donated to a pet shelter or a pet hospital, something
Hmm.
along that lines. And you can actually go in and adopt a cat, and they will, do all the necessary shots and things like that, under a thing that she set up.
Okay, that's actually kind of cool. So at least, she did something good with the money.
Yep.
Just looking at the clock.
Um, so yeah, that's what I found.
All right. Yeah, I know I've seen like a lot of the paranormal shows where they go in there and uh do the investigations and stuff. And like I've heard things about the crime and shit like that, but it I will say this is honestly a case that I've never been like, oh my God, I gotta hear. No. Is it interesting? Sure. Is it my favorite true crime case? No, no, no. But I personally don't think she did it.
I don't think she did it herself.
Definitely not herself.
I
Definitely could have
think
had
she
help.
may have orchestrated it.
Could have. Very well could have. Yeah.
And my guess, the money.
Mm,
And not only that, but she wanted, I think, this is entirely my own opinion. I think that she orchestrated it to be able to get the money with her sister because they both wanted a more normal, more lavish lifestyle than what their dad was willing to provide.
yeah.
Because like he was exceptionally frugal. He would close doors, and lock them. There was actually a key that was left on like a mantle to open a specific room that had reportedly been stolen from prior to everything. But then like the maid, her room was in an attic space and the door was in the floor, and he would make her keep that door closed at all times so that none of the heat would go in there.
Horrible working conditions. Well, maybe not working, but living conditions for sure.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and it was like the girls had the run of the second floor, like it was an apartment type, and then they had the bottom floor, and it was very much, living separate lives and never shall the two meet unless, absolutely necessary kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. And like I said, for an apology, maybe we should do a little bonus on the theories. I think it'd be
We can
fun
do that.
and give our opinion, read the theories and give our opinions on the likelihood of that. So yeah, that'll be fun.
Hmm.
So on that note, people, I gotta go work.
I gotta go pick up my mom from the hospital.
Well, good luck. Tell her I said happy birthday. Tell her we
Will
all
do.
said happy birthday.
Will do. She'll like that.
All right. Well, everyone have a good day and we will see you soon. Bye.